Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. So today marks 3 weeks after I gave birth to our third child. So I thought it's about time to come on here and say hi and to talk to you a little bit about the birth story and to tell you if it's a boy or a girl. Okay. For reference, we have this is number three, okay? Three. So our first two, we have a girl and a girl. And the third one, we decided to wait until birth to find out. We went to the normal ultrasounds. We had them check out to make sure everything was a-okay with the baby, but we said, please don't tell us the gender. And it's so hard to not peek. It's so hard. They were really good saying, okay, we're going to head down to that area. We're heading down to the legs. Okay, look away. Like, okay, look away. I want to look, but no, I want to look, I would no. I was really good and I did not peek because I knew that I could not keep a secret from my husband if I found out, and I would probably leak it. So let's say hi to everybody real quick. Good morning, Teacher Casey. Thanks for coming. And Teacher Kelly, you're second. Thanks for coming. Yay, baby number three. I know. Can't believe I'm now have three kids. What? Ages 6 and under. So firstborn is 6. Secondborn will be 3 next month. And now I've got a 3-week-old. So the answer is dun, 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 it's a boy. We have a boy now. So isn't he cute? And actually, he decided to wake up, so he wanted to come say hi. Hello. So we now have a boy, and it was really hard to not peek. I agree. I agree, Teacher Kelly. I couldn't not look. LOL. I know it was so hard to not to look, but I really wanted to have that surprise element. And there are a couple of times that I could have looked because I had a 20-week ultrasound, and then, like all my other kids, he hit a part of himself. My first kids hit part of their internal organs. He hit his spine, whatever. So I had to go back at 24 weeks and I had to not look again. And then at 38 weeks, they checked to make sure the baby was head down. And he's like, do you want to know? No, I don't want to know. It's like last chance because once I turn it off, I'm not going to remember if it's a boy or girl. No, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. And so that was good. I think it would be hard for my husband to not look too. I remember a story about another friend of mine, and they wanted to wait till birth to be surprised. So both the husband and the wife went into ultrasound together years ago, and the wife was good. She didn't look, and then it goes, "Oh, look, is that a you know what on the screen?" And she goes, "You shouted out the body part. Now we know it's a boy." You weren't supposed to look either, husband. So all these appointments I did go alone. One, my husband had to work during the time, so he couldn't come. Two, they really didn't want anybody else in there because of COVID stuff, so no kids. Maybe one adult, but it just didn't work out. So it was easy to keep it a secret if it was just me who didn't have to see. But this birth didn't have any complications, but it was an interesting adventure. Um, like I mentioned in a previous video, I did have to move during this pregnancy. I had to move during all 3 pregnancies. The first one, I moved right after she was born, so I knew it was coming, that we'd be moving 2 months after she was born. So I was packing up my house while being pregnant. Number 2, we got a note on our door in the first trimester saying that we're selling the apartment and you have 30 days to leave or pay an extra $300 to move into a renovated apartment, room, whatever. We chose to move. But either way, we had to pack up our stuff up. So that was in the first trimester. And number 3, this boy, we had to move at the tail end in the third trimester. So we made the road trip from Idaho to Texas at 34 weeks pregnant. They say don't travel after 36 weeks, so I didn't. But it meant that once I came here, I had to find a doctor right away. And so I was working on health insurance information, transferring that over, finding a provider, and most providers will not take you past a certain point because they don't have room to add you in weekly appointments. And by the time I got here, I was 36, 37 weeks pregnant. And so I just looked at my health insurance website and I just went down the list and I just called people and I say, oh, yeah, we can see you September 1st. I'm like, My baby's due August 11th. That's not gonna work. I need to see somebody like now. So the first person I could see that could see me, um, like the next week, I was gonna take. I'm like, I don't care who it is. It's my third kid. I'll take anybody. I will take a midwife. I'll take an OBGYN. I'll take whatever. I've had both. My firstborn was a midwife. Secondborn was a OBGYN, which actually he wasn't even there for the birth because he would just got off this long shift. So I had this random doctor come in to catch the baby and fine. So I found a doctor and he was great. But I had to change my mindset about how this birth was going to go. Because both of the girls, I made it completely natural. I let the baby come whenever the baby wanted to come. And with the firstborn, the water broke and trickled out all day long. So then we went to the hospital in the evening. Then she was born. And I'll tell you in detail these stories later if I want to. The secondborn, so the first one was born at 39 weeks exactly. That the water broke, and then she was born the next day. So 39 plus one. The secondborn was born at 40 weeks plus one is when the contractions started to happen. And then she was born at 1 a.m. the next day. So technically it was 40 plus two. So she stayed in there a week longer and she was a little bit lighter. All my babies have been small babies. First one was 6'8", and then she's the biggest. Then it was 6'2". When he came along, I was hoping for a 7-pounder, but nope, he was 6'1". They got smaller as they went, which is odd. Most times they get bigger, but I blame the move and the stress of the move making them smaller. Um, but for this one, because I told the doctor that my births, once they get going fast. And it's true. And he was no exception. Once I hit that active labor, the baby's out in like an hour, 1 to 3 hours, baby's out. And he's like, okay, seeing where you live in the city and seeing the two hospitals that I have rights at, and I want you at this good hospital over here. One was like, okay, and one was really good. It's a 30-minute drive away. He's like, we are not going to chance it. We're going to guarantee that you have a bed here. So we're going to get you induced. I'm like, okay, I've never been induced before. They always just come naturally. And I only have Pitocin after the birth to contract the uterus. Um, I almost had Pitocin for the first one because she took so long to get out. We were reaching that 24 hours after the water broke. And I'm like, do we need to hurry something up? Save me Pitocin, but I was just on the verge of active labor. So it kind of kicked in, but it was also my body going full force. So for him, I actually had Pitocin the whole way through. And yeah, it was bad, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, nothing that I couldn't handle. Um, so all three kids, no epidurals. It was a personal choice to not do an epidural. I like to have full control over my body and I can handle the pain. I can recover from it. I want to be able to feel what's going on. Personal choice. A lot of people do epidurals, and that's great. I just chose not to do it with all three. I was almost ready to do it with the firstborn. I'm okay, give me that epidural. She goes, too late. You're crowning. Push. Okay. So after that one, I'm like, I was able to do it with no epidural. I can do it again. And then I can do it again. So no worries. So we checked into the hospital about 7:30 in the morning. Got taken back to the delivery room. Is my husband and I. Thankfully, my husband's mom had come into town, so she stayed home with our two girls for the 2 nights that we knew we would be gone for about 2 nights. It's always that way. No matter what time of day the baby's born, it's pretty much guaranteed that you're there for 24 hours after the birth of the kid. And so you might have some time in the delivery room at night and then the recovery room for a night. It's just, the postpartum room. So we get about 7:30. They, do all the vitals and they try to find my veins. And I got really small veins. So they had to try a couple times. And so you got to put a warm blanket on my arms to get them to pop up. Thankfully, I wasn't in full on adrenaline like the other two. I was already like mid contractions and shaking. So it was a hard time. They had a hard time, and I wasn't doing anything. Nothing had started yet. So it took them 4 pokes to find a good vein in my left hand. So I had bruises on my right arm and my right hand and my left arm, bruises everywhere. Like, that's okay. It's okay. I can handle the bruises. But they finally got one in. So we got the Pitocin started about 10:20 a.m. By the time all that, getting ready stuff was over. And so by that time, I was hooked up. I was hooked up to the IV line. I was hooked up to a blood pressure monitor. I was hooked up on the belly to the contraction one and the heartbeat one. So I was kind of stuck in bed. And one thing that I wrote down on my birth plan that worked with the other two is I want to be able to move around and I want to be able to eat. And the doctor says you can't do either one of those. Okay, I can change my mindset. I can be flexible. It took me for a loop, but I understand that one, you're hooked up to a lot of things, so there's really no moving around. So you kind of stuck in the bed. I mean, yeah, I had to ask for help to go to the bathroom. Like, okay, every 2 hours, I got to go to the bathroom. They would come in and they would unhook the things from the walls and drape the cords over the IV line. I would take the IV with me into the bathroom because you still have to pee, and so then I bring it back in. And the nurse would hook me back up, and then I get back into bed. But like every 2 hours, 2.5 hours, like okay, it's time to go to the bathroom because I can't do it by myself. I need help to unplug it the right way and plug it back in the right way. um, so that that started, and they started a slow drip just to kind of get things going a little bit. So they checked me, a cervical check at the very beginning, and I was 3 centimeters. So I mean, not bad. And we went in at 39 plus 2. So that was the day he was born, August 5th. So it's 39 weeks plus 2 days. So right there in that good window of delivery. And so it's like 80 to 90% effaced. His head was really low. And but only 3 centimeters. It's okay. So I needed to get bigger down there to get his head out. um, so things started to progress by about noon. I was starting to feel somewhat painful contractions. I'm like, okay, I can definitely feel them this time. Okay, they're definitely coming. They're not like, you know, unmanageable, but they were like every 2 minutes apart. So I'm like, okay, it's noon. He's gonna be out by 5. Okay, for sure. I mean, that's plenty of time. Meanwhile, I'm trying to like watch Netflix with some earbuds or just talk to my husband because I know we got a long day ahead of us. Just trying to keep up on conversations. But then things started to stop. And I couldn't feel the contractions much anymore. And I'd walk around a little bit, or I would I don't know. I would try to sit up in bed when I came back from the bathroom, just kind of like sit there for a while instead of laying down. I was done laying down. But I'm like, okay, we gotta get this going a little bit faster. About 4 o'clock, she checked my cervix again, and I was still at 3 centimeters. I'm like, baby's not going to come by 5. There's no way. So at 6 o'clock, the doctor finally arrived. He was at his office all morning and waited for me to progress a little bit. And so he came in and he broke my water. I've never had my water broken before. With the firstborn, the water broke early and trickled out for 24 hours. The secondborn, my water never broke. And when it was time to push, I'm like, "Do you guys need to break my water?" And she goes, "Only if we have to." One big push, and I pushed the water out. Second push, out came the baby. So that was like the very, very end. The water broke there. So this is the first time that somebody actually went inside and broke the water. And they put all these towels and in around me. So it's kind of like wearing this towel diaper. And I made sure to went to the bathroom right before because I knew he was going to come in. So I went to the bathroom, came back to bed, and once I was back in that bed, I never left until the baby was out. So he came in about 6 o'clock, and he broke my water. And that was kind of a, weird sensation just having it leak out a lot. Teacher Kelly, yeah, both times I had my water broken. Yeah, so it's not that bad. I mean, it's kind of like doing a cervical check, but then you're like, oh, I feel like I should water now. Okay. Okay, that's what's happening now. Okay. And but once the water broke, that was my body's signal to say it's happening. We got to get this baby out. So soon the contractions became a lot more intense. So the pitocin was raised, and I was heading into active labor. And remember, no epidural, so I could feel everything, and so I could feel the contractions coming on. And it got to the point where when a contraction happened, everybody had to pause what they were doing. So if my husband was talking to me or asking me a question, I'm like, hold on. I just breathe out through all the contractions, just breathe out. Long, slow breaths. Maybe close my eyes if you need to and just breathe it out. And then when it's done, like, okay, what was your question again? And now I can answer it, or now I can listen, because during the contraction I couldn't listen and I couldn't talk. It was just like I just needed to focus and breathe out through the pain. During that time, about 7 p.m., we had the shift change. So there was a nurse from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So we had a nurse change at 7 p.m. And so I got to know her a little bit. Both of the nurses were fantastic. I had an older nurse for the day part, and then I had a younger nurse for the the last hurrah part. And they were both wonderful nurses. And so about 7:30, they came in to check again. And hi, Cindy, just telling you my birth story. And hey, here's Cindy. Here's my baby boy. I know you're sleeping now, huh? You woke up a little while ago. So, spoiler, it's a boy. So about 7:30, they came and checked again my cervix, and I had went from a I was 3 centimeters at 6 p.m. when right before they broke my water, and by 7:30 p.m. I was at 8 centimeters. Whoa, that was an intense hour and a half, huh? To get that big in an hour and a half. Yes, Cindy, I know he's so sweet. He's officially 3 weeks old today. 3 weeks, I know. It seems to go by faster when they're out than when they're in, but I don't know. They both kind of go by fast. So knowing that I was already at like 8 centimeters, I knew the baby was going to come pretty soon. And the nurse kept asking me, "So when does it hurt?" Like, it hurts during the contractions, and they were pretty close together, and they were very intense. And she goes, "Okay, well, let us know if there's like a steady pressure." Like, okay, I can do that. And I just had normal contractions, and then all of a sudden, there was a contraction that was so different. It was like a contraction where I felt the need to push. Like, everything just kind of dropped, and there was steady pressure. So I hit that call button and said, there's steady pressure." And at the same time, the nurse ran in because she saw on the heart rate monitor that this was a different contraction. This was different, and the baby's heart rate dropped a little bit. So they came in. She rolled me to my left side to kind of get the heart rate back up again. Meanwhile, I'm having these like intense, like pushing contractions, and I knew the baby was coming. I can't hold the baby yet. And the doctor came in like, "Where's the doctor?" He goes, "I'm here. I'm here." Of course, I'm just like hanging on for dear life the side of the bed, and the doctor's down by my feet, so I couldn't see him. So I'm glad he said, "I'm here." And they got my feet up in the stirrups, and this was the first time they pushed my knees almost to my ears, which actually kind of helped with getting the baby out. So the nurse held on to one leg and kind of brought my knees to my ears. My husband put the other leg, brought it up, and I held on to my legs, and I felt the urge to push, like, "No, we need 30 more seconds." Meanwhile, the doctor's trying to, wash his hands super quick, and like, "Okay, go." And then out came the baby, and like one or two pushes. I mean, it was like the baby was ready. You better catch the baby. And this is the first time I didn't tear down there. And I think it had to be because they made me stretch really big, having my knees to my ears that stretched me open, plus their baby. But I didn't tear. The first kid I had 2 stitches, second kid I had 1 stitch, this one, no stitches. Yay! So it was made for a faster healing. Um, and the baby came out at 8:09 p.m. So yeah, that was fast. So later on, when things had calmed down, I asked the nurse, "Can you somehow look up to see when I pressed that call button? When did I say that I was having pressure?" So she looked at the computer, go, "You called us at 8:01." Yeah. So 8:01, I had that first big contraction saying it's happening. At 8:09, he was out. So yeah, once things get going, it is fast and furious, and then the baby's out. And then there's all the cleanup of the pushing on the uterus. That hurt the most, when she would push down on my belly to get out all that stuff afterwards. After the placenta came out, the rest of the stuff had to come out. She was pushing hard. But I'm like, okay, she knows what she's doing, but it hurts. And all the cleanup and the baby nurse had come in a little bit before, because we had like a mommy nurse and then we had a baby nurse, came in and introduced herself to me. And then she was just reading my birth plan, because I was good, and I I made a birth plan. I said things come fast, and so was just reading that part, was saying that babies can come fast when I called and said, "Baby's coming." So she ran in too, and yeah, she was there to do it. You could have done this at home. Possibly, we did not want to do a home birth. I know some people do want to do home births. We have two little kids at home. I didn't want to deal with where they were going to be, what they were going to see with a 6-year-old, almost 3-year-old. I was able to get on Texas Medicaid, so they're gonna pay for the whole hospital stay, kinda like a vacation for me. So to be away from my kids for 2 nights just with my husband, so we chose to go ahead and do the hospital birth a 3rd time. We did a hospital birth on all 3, just in case there's complications, because you never know, which is why he wanted me to be induced, because you never know if something could happen. Like, "Okay, that's fine." Way to go, mama. I know. I was like, can't believe I did that. So yeah, when the time they started Pitocin at 10:20 a.m. and he was born at 8:09 p.m. So it wasn't as fast as I thought it was going to be, knowing how fast my labor was going to be, but it was still less than a 12-hour labor. Whew. By about 10 p.m., they moved us up to the postpartum room in a different floor, and we hung out there for 24 hours. Um, a little bit longer because, since he was born at 8 p.m., he had to go in for the 8 p.m. PKU test and all those tests to do at the 24-hour. And so no one's going to say, okay, you can go at 8 p.m. They release us the next morning. So we got to stay there for 2 nights, and then we went home Sunday morning. So there he is, 3 weeks old, and now he's fast asleep. But he's doing great. He's growing well. He had a slow start to his growth as my milk was coming in, but now he's gained a lot this last week. So at birth, he was 6'1", and at his appointment yesterday, right at that, almost 3 week um, part, he was 6'13". So he's gained some good weight, and he just keeps growing. He keeps eating really well. He latched really well. He's already taking the bottle because we wanted to give him a little bit extra boost, because he only gained like 4 ounces in the first 2 weeks. So I'm pumping once or twice a day just to kind of get out what he didn't finish, and he's taking the bottle fine. My firstborn had to have bottles in the hospital because she didn't latch very well. Secondborn latched really well, so I did all the recommendation of wait 6 weeks to introduce the binky in the bottle. Okay, I will do that this time. It was too late. By 6 weeks, she loved the breast best, and she did not want to have anything to do with the bottle or the binky. I'm like, I'm not going to do this again. I like having the freedom of having my husband feed the bottle, if needed be. So by about 2 weeks, we did introduce the binky in the bottle to him, and he still loves the breast. So it hasn't messed up with his latch at all. And so I pump once or twice a day. I'm getting 1 or 2 ounces out from each side as we go, and then I put it in the fridge, and then he drinks it later that day or the next day. So we're able to add an extra 2 to 4 ounces into his tummy every day. So Kelly says my son was like that. Like, which one? The one who had a hard time latching, or the one who hated bottles? Because I've had both. So, yeah, this was kind of like, I want a baby that could latch well to my breast, but also want a baby that could take a bottle if need be. And I the doctor says add some formula in. I didn't want to go formula route with the rashes right now and stuff. Like, I'll just pump and give him a little bit of my extra breast milk, and if that doesn't work, then I'll try something else. Um, Kelly, oh, he hated bottles. I know, and we tried everything. We had a whole arsenal of different kinds of bottles for my firstborn. So we tried this one. We tried the thin nipples. We tried the big fat nipples. We tried all kinds of stuff. The only thing that she liked was the hard take and toss sippy cups. I'm like, she wanted to have that hard stuff on there. So we did that for a little bit. But I'm like, girl, you are weird. But we had that because we had a toddler as well. It's like, yeah, try this. Okay. But, she's kind of skipped by bottles and went straight to straw cups at some point. So that is my birth story with number 3. So there he is again, and here's his baby announcement that I put together. Isn't he so sweet? Yes. So now we have 2 girls and a boy. It'll be fun, and when we brought him home, we didn't tell the girls on the phone what, what we had. They said, "The baby's here, yay!" We try not to say any kind of pronouns. So we walked in the door Sunday afternoon, he was wearing a little onesie that said "little brother," because I took 2 onesies with me. I took little sister and little brother, so I was prepared either way, and it said "little brother" on him and cute little jeans, like, "It's a boy, you have a brother, yay." Of course, my 3-year-old almost here was like, "No, it's a sister." "It's a brother." "No, it's a sister." "Okay, fine, you can call it a sister for now, but we'll work on pronouns, we'll work on, brothers versus sisters. It's okay, you'll get there." Now she loves her boy baby. "I wanna hold my boy baby." See, she says, "My boy baby." It's not our boy, it is my boy. And so every night I do let them hold them in their beds. They lying down and they open the crook of the arm, and I just put little boy there, and they hug and they kiss him, and then I pick him up and I put him in the other kid's bed. They hug and kiss him, and then I take him off to his room. So they like fight over who gets to hold him first. Let's get ready. Who gets to say goodnight to him first? The girls have adjusted pretty well, and they just know that there are some times that I can't help them because I'm nursing him, but I try to do what I can. But as soon as I say, "When I'm done, then I will help you." But yeah, there you go. There's my birth story of our little baby boy. And I'll come back later to talk about other things. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for joining us. And I'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody. And thanks, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Cindy and Kelly and Casey, for coming. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye.